So, I cannot wait to get back home with his paddle. He's going to lose it. I'll have to maybe ransom it or something. So, if this looks like your idea of a fun rafting trip, then you better soak it in. It's not going to be like this for long. This is called Sutton's Hole. It's the longest, flattest stretch we see before we get to the lake. So, we're on a wild scenic river, which is like a really special federal designation, and that ends just before we get to Lake Tougaloo, and that's because the river's dammed at Lake Tougaloo. It won't look like a lake at first. It'll look very river-like because it is a river. It's just dammed up. I think Night 2 is going to come talk to us. We can talk more about all the implications of the wild and scenic thing, and basically how all of this came to be, which is really a neat story. What's up, 92?
What's up, man?
Y'all doing all right so far?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dude, I just found a trophy.
Brand new paddle?
This is Patrick's paddle. Whitewater Patrick.
Oh, yeah?
When we flipped the other day, did you hear we flipped?
Oh, you did hear?
Yeah. He lost this, and he was super bummed about it. It's one of our paddles with the NOC sanded off of it.
Oh, wow.
And I'm so excited to have it. Yeah, I hope I don't lose it today.
Yeah, you probably will. Who knows?
Hey, let's go back one real
Gentlemen,
quick.
my job is to be the kayak guide today. I'm just a little bit of extra safety. So below the big rapids, I'll be hanging out, keeping an eye on you guys. If you do happen to find yourself out of the raft, I will act as your swim coach. All right, so I'm gonna paddle up to you and start yelling at you. I'm gonna point to where I want you, or where I want you to go. So I always point to where it's good. I won't point towards danger. If it looks like you need a little bit of assistance getting somewhere, I might say grab on. You can grab onto the loops in the back, kind of kick your feet, and together we're going to work to get to where we want to go, right? That doesn't happen too often. Typically, I just yell at people if you're in the water, but you never know. What you don't want to do, though, is grab onto my vest or my paddle, or especially this yellow loop right here. You grab that, I'm going to get ejected out of the kayak. And I'm probably just going to save the boat because it's just about brand new and I really like this thing. All right, y'all paddle hard. You're in good hands. Have fun, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, the real reason he doesn't want to get out of there, 19 ain't wearing any pants on.
So how long you been doing this for?
I started in 2012. Okay. But I haven't worked all of those seasons. So I came on a rafting trip here the fall of 2011. That was my first semester at UGA. I signed up for the major is called Natural Resources, Recreation and Tourism. So it's a forestry degree with focus on recreation and tourism. And I came out here with a club about this time of year, a little bit later. The water was much lower. It was a lot colder. And even though I did not enjoy the coldness, when we were going across the lake at the end, guide school. And that's a spring break kind of thing, typically. It's aligned with spring break so the students can do it. So instead of like doing whatever everybody else is doing at PCV or whatever they do, I went to guide school. Didn't know anybody, I've been rafting a couple times. But I loved it and learned really fast and got sent over here my first summer, which is cool. NOC is unique in that we do these guide schools, you pay for them. Some other companies train you for free, but you don't have a lot of options about what you're going to do or where you're going to go. For NOC, you pay for guide school. If you come back for 2 seasons, then you get all of that except for $90. And that's the cost of it. So, pretty good deal just for the that's what I think.
What do you do for the river?
Well, I was a student, you know, up until I graduated in 2015. So I didn't guide on the shoulder right before we started work. So that sucked. It was like a full year I dislocated and was cleared like a month or 2 before the next year season started. And then I started doing lots of push-ups to harness super ATV. Got back right in time to guide in 2015, which was kind of a low water year. I was looking for work that fall, and I found this place called the Linfoot Hike Inn. Have you ever heard of that? Mm-hmm. Where are y'all three from?
Bro, here, bro.
Oh, nice. I just lived there for the last couple of years. I'll get to that part of the story. Jeremy Jr. lives in Tampa. Do you live there too, Jeremy?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. I'm from Rome, Georgia, by the way, so we all know where we're from. But I've been transient for the last almost
sold about 100-yard stretch from that.
Anyways,
run down the sneak.
I heard about this place called Hiking. It's like about 4.5 miles south of the southern terminus of the AT, and it's about 5 miles north of this place called Nantahala Falls State Park. So traditionally, northbound through hikers start the Appalachian Trail by going to Nantahala Falls State Park, walking up the Blue Ridge Escarpment next to this massive waterfall. Disputably, it's the highest waterfall east of Mississippi. Depends on if you consider a waterfall to be a single drop, or if a series of cascades counts as a waterfall. But it tumbles about 730 feet. It's cool. So if you're gonna through hike the AT, the best way to do it is to start there, walk up the waterfall, and then walk 8.5 miles up Springer Mountain. And if you do that, about 1 mile off of that trail, about halfway up, is this lodge that Georgia State Parks built back in the early 90s. So it's state park property, completely surrounded by national forest, only accessible by footpath. So I got a job there as a naturalist. So basically I headed up their education and sustainability initiatives. So on both of those fronts, I got to just research whatever I thought would be like valuable information and knowledge for them, and then apply it. So on the sustainability front, I did some basically native plant restoration stuff on the property and implemented this food composting system that can actually compost like meats and dairies and stuff like that. We've always had like a traditional compost pile, but we're still throwing a lot of waste and garbage. So that was my goal. I was really proud of it, but it's a really finicky thing to operate. Basically, you're growing very, very needy bacteria. And
I don't know how much power from the river actually is like protected.
my soul. I'm crushed.
So from the water up to the
But on the education front, I just learned as much as I could about the inn's history, because I was responsible for these facility tours. That was cool. It was the first LEED gold building in Georgia. So thinking about what LEED was in 1995 versus where it is now, how we did a good job back then, we still have. These are things we could work on. That was fun. Let's go forward to 2. But mostly my programs were about natural and cultural history, and all of that stuff overlaps here too. Obviously, I got that forestry degree, so I'm way into the trees.
Yeah, most of what they actually did the filming for the movie was already upstream.
Let's go back 3 now.
Yeah, they did a lot of upstream.
Don't worry about Tanner.
Oh, sorry, I'm just sitting here talking. Not
We just want to hang out with you.
Hey guys, let's go forward like 2 times here to try to give them a little bit of breathing room. We were just all up in their way.
Let's go back 2 more. Now let's go forward 2. Actually, one will do it. One will do it. So all that is to say, the hiking was great. Worked there for about 2 years. Since you're living on site in the middle of nowhere, and housing and food and everything is provided, you really can't even spend money if you want to, unless you are like an online shopper or something. So basically, I saved a bunch of money and went hiking for 6 months after that. I went hiking the Pacific Crest Trail 2017. It was sick. I want to do the CDT next summer. That's been my goal, basically, since I got off the PCT. But there's a global pandemic raging,